My name is Brandon, and I facilitate cell and molecular biology.
My name is Elizabeth Lowe, and I facilitate Math 30.
My name is Angelica Sipple, and I'm a Math 30 PAL facilitator.
I'm Carlos Pereira, and I facilitate Math 30, Calculus 1.
My name is Jacob, and I facilitate Bio 131, Systemic Physiology.
One name, and that name is LaSalle.
Scaffolding means asking students questions and becoming more specific with the less knowledge they know. So you're breaking down the questions to simpler ones and then building students back up with questions when you get to a point that they know the answer.
Scaffolding means like asking questions about the bigger picture and kind of leading up to those questions about the very specific idea that you're having trouble with.
Scaffolding to me means building a foundation to help a student get to an answer to a question or understand a certain concept.
And scaffolding to me is when you get students to question themselves and also to question their methods and see if they truly believe in what they're doing.
Scaffolding is a way to kind of ask questions to students to help them kind of realize what they know and what they don't know. It's a way to kind of break down material and build up on what they do know as well.
Scaffolding means to me you're trying to ask questions to the student that help them link together the pieces that might be missing. So you're not necessarily filling them in, but you're trying to lead them in a direction that will help them make that important connection that they just might be missing.
Usually when facilitators first start scaffolding, I've experienced students get really frustrated and they just want the answer and they don't want to go through the series of questions. After a few PAL sessions, they start to get used to being asked questions rather than getting answers, and they start to actually expect it and enjoy it and ask for questions to help them. So they start to expect the questions and they see that it is benefiting them.
Students honestly get super frustrated because they're used to a teacher just kind of telling them the answer right away when they have a question. They're not used to the way that we're facilitating the courses where we answer their question with another question.
Typically in my PAL, when I ask the leading questions, they'll kind of remain silent for a bit because they're trying to form the logic, I guess, path of logic in their head. There is some frustration there, but eventually they'll kind of trail along and get to the answer.
To be honest, students hate it. They're like, why are you asking me so many questions? I know they feel interrogated, but I feel like once you ask like that right question, because most of the time when you scaffold, they don't know the answer to that question. But then if you keep going deeper and deeper to like something that they're more familiar with, then they're like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this, and then it's something that kind of will help them like lead to the answer. I was going to say something along the same lines. Sometimes too when you scaffold them, they start to second guess their answer even though the process and the answer itself might be right. So as you continue to scaffold them and they re-explain their thought process to get to that answer, I think it helps them a lot with just, again, increasing that confidence and re-ensuring that they have some knowledge. And so at first they're resistant, but after they get used to the process, they just start explaining it on their own without you even really scaffolding because they know what's coming next.
Simply just try not to answer the question directly. Go back to the questions that you may have had when you were trying to understand the concept. Use your own experiences, your own struggles to kind of help lead them along. That's found to work with me. Typically the questions they have are the same ones that you have, just maybe worded in a different way.
My biggest tip is you're gonna get a lot of those students who are either really resistant to how the PAL model is or what kind of represents the PAL model, and like honestly patience is key. Like most of the time it's not gonna work the first time, and it's just repeatedly doing it that they kind of get used to how you ask them questions and then them kind of trying to get themselves to think about what you're asking them kind of thing. And yeah.
When you're given a question that you know your students are going to have to answer during your PAL session, what I try to do is I solve the problem out first and then I come up with the steps that it would take, like if I was going to explain them, I would come up with the steps that would explain the process of the problem, and then I break down every sentence that I create, every sentence that I said, into a question. So I make questions that would get students to come up with the same answers that I did.
I would kind of say just kind of be yourself and don't be nervous at all. The students are going to be frustrated with you, and you're just going to have to learn to deal with that. They'll learn to love you over time. It's just right in the beginning, they'll get frustrated and you just kind of have to work around that.